Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mercy and I make videos about faith and grad school. Thank you for clicking the link or the thumbnail that brought you here. I am so excited to have you here. In today's video, I'm going to be answering a question I have gotten so much. How is it possible to go from a bachelor's to a PhD without a master's? Yeah, I'm going to be giving you the tea on this one. So stay tuned and listen if this is what you're interested in. Now, the first thing I need you to know about this is that it is possible. Yes, it is possible. I'm a living witness. I was able to go in for a PhD program from a bachelor's degree. So it is definitely possible. You do not have to go through a master's. And it is possible mostly in the US or Canada, not so much in the UK. So can anybody go through this route? Can anybody go directly from a bachelor's to a PhD? I'm going to be answering some of those questions today. So I'm going to be giving you a checklist that you can tick if you want to go through this route, so you know whether you are qualified or whether you stand a good chance of getting admitted into a PhD without a master's. Now, the first point is your CGPA, your undergraduate CGPA. So, most universities, especially in the US, they want you to have a CGPA of at least 3.0, and that 3.0 is on a 4-point scale. So if you are in a university that uses a 5-point or a 7-point scale, you may want to consider converting your CGPA to a 3-point scale so that you know exactly, to a 4-point scale, so that you know exactly where you stand. In as much as they say a 3.0 is what they would accept for most schools, you know that the higher your CGPA is, the better chance you stand. So if you have like from 3.5 and above, you stand a higher chance than someone who has less. However, if you have less than a 3.0, that does not mean that all hope is lost. I know so many people who have applied with less than a 3.0 and they got in, but that means that you have to make sure that the other parts of your application are strong enough. And that moves me to the next point. The next point is going to be what your major is. Now, when you're choosing your major, it's okay for you to switch disciplines, right? It's okay for you to decide that you want to venture into something different. But you want to make sure that you're not going too far, that the courses you took in your undergrad will not be able to support you, or the experience you've had maybe working will not be able to support you for what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have enough experience, academic experience, your academic background, the courses that you've taken are in line with the course you want to do for your graduates and for graduate school. So for instance, you did engineering and now you want to do something in law, for like a PhD in law. There are requirements. There are some undergraduate courses that will be required, and you most likely haven't achieved that if you had an engineering degree, except you did like an extra degree somewhere along the line. So while you're choosing your course, number one, make sure that you're choosing a course that your undergraduate courses have prepared you for. And number two, make sure that you're also choosing a course that will help you stay relevant in the near future. You don't want to do a course that you are the only one that knows the course and you can't find a job after spending 4 or 5 years doing a PhD. That's not going to help you. So relevant and something that your undergraduate classes have prepared you for. Now, let's assume if you have your right CGPA, you have your right major. The next important thing is the school that you're going to apply to. Now, this is very, very important. If you are listening well, balance well. School that you're going to apply to, this is not the time where you want to choose the most popular schools that you've seen people graduate from online. You have to put certain things into consideration. First of all, you have to look at your own application packet and ask yourself, with this my CGPA, with this my GRE score, with my experience, is it fair to life, to humanity, for me to be applying to such a school, right? And I'm not saying miracles don't happen. I know that some people go to Harvard that, otherwise, like that you would normally look at and you'd be like, how? But then realistically, knowing that you are going to be paying for application fees, you want to make sure that whatever school that you're going to apply for, you actually meet their requirements. You want to make sure that you're not just applying because people go usually go to so and so school, or perhaps I know somebody who finished from there, or perhaps it's an Ivy League school, right? I mean, sit down, have a discussion with yourself. You need to be wise about this, because application fees cost money. You need like $100 for some schools. So why waste the money if you can apply to schools that would take you? So I mean, just as a rule of thumb, I would normally tell people that based on your qualifications, choose 3 schools. Now, one school should be one that you and the qualifications, you people are at par or on par, I don't know, you people match each other. The other one should be a school that looks like it's a bit lower than your qualifications, and then one should be like the faith school, where it's a school that it's quite higher than you, but then anything could happen. They could have a smaller application pool that year, and that could just be what will give you the admission that you want, right? So that's very, very important. Make sure that you're choosing schools logically. Also, make sure that while you're choosing schools, you're not just choosing names, you're choosing schools that actually have a good ranking for the program that you're going to do. So important, so important. I always give this example. A particular school may be great in a program, another school could just be great generally. When you have a chance to apply, you should consider the school that is better in the program that you're doing, not the school that is just great because it's great. Do you get that? So very, very important to note while choosing schools. Now, closely following that, which I believe is something that so many people do not talk about, and I believe it is what actually separates who is applying for a master's and who is applying for a PhD, it is your research experience, especially if you're in the STEM field. So important. And PhD is a very research intensive program. So whoever your advisor is going to be, your advisor wants to know that you are not new to a lab. That is, if you're in STEM, you're not new to a lab, or you're not new to research, you're not new to literature review and all of that. They want to know that you've actually done stuff. So, and this is why I always tell people that the year you finish your undergrad shouldn't be the year that you're planning to go to grad school. That is, if you're going to do a PhD, especially if you've not gathered any research experience. And as we know, in a place like Nigeria, it may be difficult for you to gather relevant research experience during your undergrad, because the system is not just set up that way. So if you're in that situation, what do? What I advise is that you look for a professor to work with. Be that professor's handbag. Follow the professor everywhere. Help them with their research, and you may even get a publication out of it. I did not get a publication, but I got in. But that does not mean that, if you have a publication, even better for you. So you should think about that. You should also think of applying for internships. Go and do free work at laboratories. Gather experience. During your NYSC, if you can work in a lab, in a research institute, better for you. It's going to pay you a lot, because you're going to have relevant research experience that will help you stand out, especially since you don't have a master's. Now, if you have a master's, you most likely have a research experience because you did your MSc project, and that should be research good enough. But for someone from a bachelor's, you need to put that into consideration. Closely following that is your GRE score, or your test scores. Let's not limit it to GRE. So your test scores, whether GMAT, GRE, TOEFL, IELTS, whatever it is. So many people ask me this question: Mercy, do I really need to write GRE? Is it very important and all of that? And the answer that I usually give them is, if you can afford it and you have the time, why not? Now the thing is, yes, there are schools that would not disturb you about GRE. They exist. It's actually true. There are schools like that. But you don't want to limit yourself, especially, like I said, if you can afford it. You don't want to limit yourself. You don't want a situation where you cannot apply to a particular school just because they need GRE and you don't have GRE, and that school is one that meets your qualification, you meet their requirement, but you just can't apply because you don't have GRE. So what I would advise is that if you can do the exam, it's different if you can find 4 schools that are around your that you meet their requirements and they don't ask for GRE, then by all means go on. Because if a school say they don't want GRE, then they really don't want. If that's your case, then of course you should skip it. But for the other people, write the exam, plan to write the exam. You can give yourself 3 months to prepare. It will be more than enough. Some people do 1 month intensive study, but I suggest that you just do it for 3 months and pace yourself throughout that 3 months. And don't go into the exam saying, let me just see how it is, this is just the first try, I will come back again. You are just wasting money. Why are you just seeing it? I mean, why are you just going there to see how it is? There are people who are getting, I have friends who got GRE, who got their GRE done, and at the first take they got 320, 319. I got 310. It's not great, but then God still helped me. So make sure that you have a target. If you want to end up at 300, then you should be working towards 310. If you want to end up at 320, you should be working towards 330, right? That's how it works. So make sure that you have that nailed. Your TOEFL, you want to get around 90. For IELTS, I think you want to get around a 7.5. See, all these figures I'm calling, it's not like if you have less than it, that means your own is finished. God forbid, your own is not finished in Jesus' name. It's not that if you have only that's the end. No, there are people who have come in with 298 and 290. It depends on the school. It depends on so many other parts of your application. The GRE is just one part of your application. It's not everything. Of course, you should do your best, but don't feel bad if you don't get the score that you want, especially if it's not like a terrible score that even yourself you know that why. So yeah, make sure that you put in your best, but remember that it's just one part of your application, right? Now closely following that, so you have, we've talked about your CV, we've talked about the major, we've talked about the school, we've talked about research experience, we've talked about test scores. Now let's talk about the SOP, which is the statement of purpose. See, that statement of purpose is the glue, is the super glue that will bind every part of your application together. So you don't want to joke with it. You don't want to sit down and just do anything you like a night before you need to submit the application, because after all, it's not just writing. See, the thing with any piece of writing is that the more you let it sit, the better it becomes. Your statement of purpose is where you need to sell yourself without trying so hard. Like, make sure that they can see, you can show them who you really are. And by that, what I mean is, don't come and tell them that I'm a very hardworking person, I'm a go-getter, I'm a very inquisitive person. Those are buzzwords. These people have heard this thing a lot. Instead, tell them that I have done this research and that research and this research. Without even saying it, they already know you're inquisitive. Instead, tell them of your good grades. Without even saying anything, they already know you're hardworking and you're a go-getter. So you see, show them why you are all these things. Don't use buzzwords. Also, try to convey your personal reason why you like that particular research area, or why you like that particular course. Don't come and tell them that 50% of Africans suffer from this, and that has motivated. Hello, everybody says that. You want to stand out, you want to be original. Is there a personal motivation? Is there something that hits back home personally? Is there a reason why you want to apply for this course? That's what you should be saying, right? Now, also on your statement of purpose, you want to talk a little bit about the research that you're intending to do. And this is another place where applying for a PhD differs from applying for a master's. Of course, you don't want to make a whole research proposal out of your statement of purpose, but you want to be able to convey that indeed you know what you're talking about, that indeed you have an idea about what your research area is about, and also what people have done, what you want to add. Whatever you're doing, make sure that you're trying hard to stand out. That's the most important thing, because they get so many people apply. So make sure that you're trying hard to stand out. Also, if you have certain professors that are in your lab or in the school that you are interested in their work, sometimes it's okay to mention those professors. Now, of course, this doesn't apply in every school. Some schools don't want you to even do that, but some schools don't mind. So if you put like the names of 2 or 3 professors, it shows whoever is reviewing your application that you've done your research, you know about the school, you're not just saying vague things. Okay, closely following that is another point that I personally did, and it worked tremendously. I mean, actually, everything I'm saying I did, but this particular one was like one of the big things God used to bring me here, and that is emailing professors. So I emailed 10 professors in my university, telling them who I am, telling them what I'm interested in, why I like their research, why I'd like to work with them, the research experience I have, and about 4 or 5 replied me. But at the end of the day, I continued conversation with just around 2, and it was those 2 who actually helped me get here, because at the point there was funding issues, but they talked about me because we had been in communication. So it's very, very important. A school wants to know that you already have advisors, you already have people who can advise you, who can be your supervisors when you come in. Some schools would assign that or would let you choose when you come in, but some other schools want to know that you already have that sorted. And sometimes you can actually get funded by those professors if they have money through grants. So it's very important that you maintain communication with professors. Make sure that they know you. Even if they don't reply you, keep sending the email. They will know your name, and when they know your name, it's going to help them, it's going to help you during the application review. Okay, so emailing professors is very, very important. Now, the next thing is your CV. See, I've tried to go through so many CVs, or not so many, but a couple of CVs from Nigerian students, and one thing I see is that it's like some of them are a bit scared of showing or telling what they've done. It's like they sometimes dim their lights in their CV. For grad school, the CV that you want to present is not job resume, it's not one page, it's not a summary, it's a curriculum vitae, it is the full thing. You want to emphasize every research experience that you have. In fact, after you state your academic background, and of course, if you had a first class, if you had a second class upper, make sure that you put it there. After you state that academic background, the next thing is your research experience. Write out every research project that you've done, from internship to final year project to anything that you've done. List your publications also. But in listing your research projects, do you just list them like that? I don't think so. Actually, no, it's not. I don't think so. You don't. For instance, let's say someone has experience with gene expression in a particular organism for a particular reason. They did some gene expression studies. The person can simply write gene expression studies as their research projects in a particular organism. Or the person can write gene expression studies and then go on to list the number of skills or the different skills that the person learns as a result of doing gene expression studies. So the person can say something like DNA extraction, RNA sequence analysis, whatever. Arrow, like maybe the person did some analysis using Arrow, using Python. By the time the person lists all of that, if you bring that person's CV and you bring the other person who just wrote gene expression studies, who would you think has sense? Or who would you think actually has experience on the project? So it is very, very important that in what you're doing, you're thinking of elaborating. Of course, it doesn't mean that you should now go and put it in capital letter or bold or big font. That's not what I'm saying. Just make sure that they are seeing that you're capable. Make sure that they are seeing that you are you qualify for the position because you have enough lab experience. Your CV shouldn't be 10 pages, but it shouldn't also be too short that you don't show everything that you've done. Put your volunteer experiences. They want to see that you have a heart of service, so that is very, very important. Make sure that you put your volunteer experience. Now, the final thing is the letters of recommendation. I feel like people don't talk about this enough. See, Some professors only would even look at your letters of recommendation. They want to make sure that the people who you've worked under rate you. And if you're in your undergrad now, or let's even say you just finished your bachelor's and you don't have any professor that can write a letter for you, you are in trouble. I mean, you should start looking for them. You should start become their friends. If it's to be greeting them every day, if it's to be carrying their bag, if it's to be telling them, ma, you look good, whatever it is that you can do, because you will need their help. You need at least 3 letters of recommendation. And those letters of recommendation, you don't just want them to write generic things that they've been writing for 50 students for over 10 years. No. You want them to write something that will show the person reviewing your application that they actually know you, and they can talk about your values in a way that is true because they've worked with you. Okay, so make sure that you have good relationship. And also, when you're asking professors to write a letter of recommendation, also say, especially when they agree, say thank you, I've sent this information. Like, send them like a Microsoft Word document about your achievements, what makes you stand out. Give them something to write about you, or give them something to use to write about you, so that they don't write generic stuff. If you're if you did very well in their class, maybe you had an A, tell them, remind them, because they may forget. So make sure that you tell them, give them stuff that they can use to write, so that when they are writing, it shows, it looks like at least they've really worked with you. Make sure that you have somebody who can write about you as a student, you as a researcher. Very, very important. If you have a good relationship with your undergraduate BSc project supervisor, that is great. If you did an internship and you have someone who can write, these people don't have to be the dean. They don't even have to be the HOD. Just someone that you've worked under or worked with that can actually verify your skills. Very, very important. So with all these points, I think I've come to the end of this video. If I missed out anything, let me know. I want to know your thoughts. Have you gone through this route? Did you think it was worth it? Did you encounter any hurdles? Do you want to go through this route? Do you have any more questions? Truth is that you may watch all of this and maybe still have 1 or 2 rejections. I am the one telling you, and I have 2 rejections myself. So I just want to encourage you that rejections are part of life. It's what it is. It happens. It doesn't mean that something is wrong with you. So if you have 1 or 2, it does not mean that you give up. You keep pushing. This whole journey is about being tenacious, about being resilient. So you don't want to give up just because you had 1 or 2 rejections, right? If you've watched this video till this point and you've not subscribed, help me subscribe. Share these videos with people who you think need to know this. Your dreams are valid. You can go to the United States or Canada from a bachelor's. You don't have to go through a master's. So keep pushing. This is very difficult. Applying to schools is very difficult. So if you're even on this pathway, congratulations. It already shows that you are, you have what it takes, right? Because it is a very difficult process, but pray about it. If you're a Christian, God wants to help you. God wants to hold your hands through this. You are not alone. Okay, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about this, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.